But yes, if you have time, this is the. I also wanted to like we're speaking of good stories, right? And I wanted to go over the. I already told you both, right? I was like half writing a Persona story, Persona inspired story, right? And I wanted to give you guys the introduction. You know, Ali already heard it, but I don't think I went in depth with you, Harpreet, of like the idea I had for like just the introduction to this story I had. Do you wish to hear it, Harpreet?
Make it into a D&D
Oh my
campaign.
God! Oh Jesus!
What?
Where'd you go?
You're so far away.
I was at Harpreet, and I hear all of a sudden, yeah! I fucked up my headset. I did it for the bit. It was worth it.
It sounded like a different person too. It did not sound like her.
Did
Oh,
I was like,
fucking
who's
great.
talking?
Probably gonna have to leave it in all the way up to here.
Good. Dear listener,
take-
if you're still hearing this,
If you're
I
still here,
I
we
failed you.
No, just take that part and put it in the beginning.
Greetings, Guten Tag. Hello in Japanese. I don't know how to say that one. Welcome back to another wonderful episode of the Poop Podcast. People of our podcast, I welcome you to today's little episode featuring me, Danny, Harpreet, and Ali. Harpreet, say hello first.
Oh, hi. Sorry.
No, you're good. Ali, say hello to the wonderful
Hello.
audience of like 3 people.
Hello, 3 people that watch it.
Perfect.
One of them's my mom,
Yeah.
obviously.
And a fine supporter she has been so far. Harpreet, has she said hello to me, or Ali? Has she said hello to us?
She doesn't know you guys,
Okay.
so yeah, there's that.
Well, now she does with this wonderful introduction.
She thinks I have bad friends.
Oh, does she now? Why is
Yeah.
that?
She thinks you're crazy.
Okay. That's
And
not
then-
hurtful.
And then Ali, she's like, "That's a girl. Why are you friends with the girl?"
Okay. Well, what's life without a little crazy? You know what I mean? Speaking of, like yesterday actually, it was like my cousin's birthday. 2 of my cousins, they had a birthday this month, but they combined it into one day. And I went to a club for the first time yesterday. Apparently there's one like 6 minutes away from where I live, and I had no clue this. The whole 20-something years of my life that I've lived. And I gotta say, not really my thing. Dear listeners, if it wasn't obvious, I'm a pretty down-to-earth person. Being thrust into a chaotic environment such as a club, where there's dancing galore, drinking to be had, it's not really my thing. Harpreet, Ali, what are your opinions on you know, high energy locales such as clubs, parties, and
If you had asked me like 4 years ago, 5 years ago, before COVID, I would be like, "Yeah, it's fucking sick." But after COVID, I was like, "No, people."
Really?
Yeah.
Ali, your thoughts?
I'm highly neurodivergent and I hate being in crowds. I have social anxiety. Excuse my voice, I'm sick.
That's fine as long as you try your hardest. Dear listener, we are not slave workers. We did say, Ali, we can put this off for another time. And then she immediately responded by backhanding us through the universe.
Cussing
repeatedly.
us out, saying,
Yeah.
"No, I am my own woman. I decide."
I
Well,
can
that-
do
she said
whatever
that-
the fuck I want.
Yeah, exactly. She said that to you, Harpreet. She just straight up backhanded me.
Yeah. Judge.
You seem so violent.
Remember? Yeah, well, go, Harper, go.
Go, Daddy. Go, Daddy. Go.
I
Just
was gonna bring
go.
up the preamble of last time where you called me a stupid motherfucker and I simply allowed it to happen. I was like, yes, you are in fact.
Okay, I don't think you allowed it to happen.
Well, true. Like my brain just didn't process it. Like, yes, I am pretty stupid.
I mean, yeah, there was a delay in processing. I was just like, I was like, ah.
So
I
what
don't
were
know,
you saying
man.
before I interrupted Harper?
I wasn't gonna say anything.
What you like? Okay, whatever.
As you can tell, everybody, we're at the top of our game.
Always. The first
What's
5 minutes are always a
One
doozy.
one of us is sleep deprived, the other is sick, and the other is
a
Danny.
What the?
ooh?
As you
I'm
can
sorry,
tell, dear
Danny.
listeners, maybe, I am the butt of the joke.
No, no.
I don't care, Ali. It's
Danny,
fine.
there's been a lot of butts on your bed.
Don't. What the? You're giving the listeners the wrong impression of me.
It's a poop podcast, after all.
That's the
Moving
joke
on
we've
from
said
that
here.
comment.
God.
Where was I? Where was I, Harpreet, before? Right, where Ali was explaining her
For illness.
ideas. Well, that too, and like the thoughts of like high energy locations. So yeah, again, like I said, wasn't my thing. I did it mostly for my cousins, and it was my first time going. I was like, fuck it, I'll go. Why not? And oh, I'm not supposed to curse. Oh well. And yeah, it was a little awkward.
This isn't for children, Danny.
Okay, well, I could have sworn you told me not to curse last podcast session.
I cursed a lot.
Okay, that is
I
true.
feel like we all kind of cursed.
All right, well, throw what I said out the window.
Danny, stop being a wholesome boy. And
It's the least I can do to combat my
We named our podcast Poop. How is this a
Okay.
wholesome podcast?
I mean, if it was wholesome, we'd call it like dandelions and daisies.
Ew. Back to what I was saying. But yeah, it was really awkward for me. Because like I knew my two cousins and I knew my cousin's husband, but everybody else they were complete strangers to me. They were really nice people, regardless. I want to get that out there. Very nice people, but they essentially just talked to themselves. Me and a different cousin that was also there, kind of just watched over the scene, like, oh, this is kind of nice. But no, it's just still felt awkward. And when they all got up to dance, I kind of just like stood there, like, man, I wish I knew how to dance. But
You just move your body to the vibe,
I don't want to look dumb. That's not the
Who
energy I
cares
carry.
about looking
I'm
dumb? You're there to
know
have a
how-
good time.
Do you know how white people dance?
No, I don't want to.
Ali should know.
Go fuck yourself.
Yeah, just think about that. Just think about that.
I
If
don't-
they can dance like that, then Danny, whatever you dance like is more than acceptable.
Well, I mean, I can't really
Sorry,
attest to that
sorry
because
to our white listeners. I
who love
don't
to
mean
dance.
it like that. Just saying that guys don't dance that well.
I don't
You are not helping, Harpreet.
white people dance. I goth girl dance.
I don't know what that means.
Goth people don't give a shit what other people think about them, so they just move their bodies however they want. It's all about having fun with yourself. That's it.
Hmm.
Just watch Indian people dancing. Just watch how they
Nah,
dance.
they're pretty hype.
They're hyped, but like if you look at the old dads, they're just like, I don't know how else to describe it other than a bunch of like jumping or a bunch of jacks just thrown on a table.
Just jumping around.
No, not even jumping around, just fucking smacking into each other.
Oh, a mosh pit, of course. How could I not realize? I just start elbowing people at the club and hope for the best.
And if they're drunk enough, it's like a bunch of dominoes. It's just
Oh.
one fall, next fall, next fall, next fall, next fall, next fall.
That was another problem I had. I drove myself out there, so I couldn't drink. I know it would have been a much better time if I drank. But dear listeners, I am a responsible individual. I wouldn't do such a thing as drink and drive. But it did
Don't look at me.
damper the experience for me.
Yeah, heartbeat.
What happened? Did you say something?
Nothing.
Did
Nothing.
you
I didn't say
insult
anything.
me behind my
Nope.
back?
No. Not at all, Danny. Not at
Dare
all.
you? You know I
Stand
could
down the
re-listen
board.
to this podcast, right? And just pinpoint in on the 8-minute mark.
I might just delete this out.
What the heck? You scum!
I'll take that.
I can't believe you. But besides that, like, there's a lot of things I haven't done actually. I guess like a concert. I've always wanted to go to a concert too.
You want to
I
go
know
to a
you've gone to a
concert?
concert. Yeah, you've gone to a concert, Harvey. Which one was it? Or which
I went to
one?
Sleep Token, and then I've gone to a bunch of Indian ones.
Nice. Ali, what about you?
Going to another one, like
Oh,
in
are you?
December. Yeah.
Okay.
I've never been
Less
to
less
one.
hyped, but good music.
Oh yeah, well if it's a competition, then I'm going to Mexico in December, so haha.
I live next to
Going nowhere.
Mexico.
Okay, well. Ali, what about you with concerts?
I've never been to an actual. I've been to a stand-up comedy special.
Oh, that's nice.
I went and saw Kevin Hart live.
Oh wow.
It's one of his Netflix specials actually. You can watch it on Netflix. I thought I had a good time. I was 18.
Do
Are
you
you
hear
in the
that, dear
special?
listener? If you look up
No.
that episode and stare into the crowd, you will find Ali somewhere in there.
Okay, yeah. Sorry,
I
Ali.
don't think
Sorry. Continuity error. You were there.
I don't think that's true. Because he did the same special in different states. I don't think Portland was a main one.
Too bad, Ali. You're in the crowd now.
Sure, you can look for me in the crowd. I did that already, but
It's much harder.
Eventually, you'll find her.
Yeah. But, there was one occasion where I almost went to a concert. I'm embarrassed to admit this. It was like a YouTuber concert. I enjoy their music. I thought it was nice. They were doing one in LA, and I was ready to make the how long was it, like 8 to 10 hour drive with RJ. He's a good friend of all three of us.
Is he?
Sometimes, I will say, sometimes. Um, but yeah, I paid for like the tickets. I was gonna drive the whole way there because RJ's a lazy son of a bitch. Um, and we were set, but somehow, some way, the main coordinator for the concert, the
Bless you.
main individual, if you will, bless you, by the way,
Bless you.
the main individual somehow contracted COVID like a week beforehand, so they had to just cancel it outright. Thankfully, I had like the ticket protection or whatever, so I got a full refund on everything, as well as the hotel because God knows I'm not gonna drive back same day. But it was disappointing. I was actually looking forward to this little concert, only to be met with the heavens above saying no.
no. Fuck you. You don't
Yeah,
get to
pretty
go.
much. Yeah.
Next time on Dragon Ball
Next,
Z.
I guess. I mean, next time instead of driving, we're just gonna freaking fly down there.
I mean, there's concerts in the Bay. You can just go to one of those.
Oh yeah, but like, am I even gonna like the whatever they have, like their type of music? Am I gonna like their lyrics?
No, it could be the same person, just in the Bay.
I highly doubt it.
Well, I highly doubt you.
Okay. You're free to do that, I suppose. But
Yeah.
yeah, and then like I missed out on a Limp Bizkit concert. Two of my buddies, one of them was a huge Limp Bizkit fan, and then he invited my other buddy. Said other buddy thought about inviting me, was like, nah, he probably doesn't like this kind of music. Little did he realize, would have been a good time. And speaking of, would you consider anime conventions? No, I wouldn't consider those high energy. Would you?
Sometimes, depending
I-
on, like, here in Oregon to Washington, there's one called KomoriCon.
Uh-huh.
That one can get pretty crazy sometimes, depending on the year. But I think it depends on where you are, or like how trafficked the area is. Because the more trafficked it is, the more people that are just coming and going. I don't know. I used to go to cons all the time. I don't think I would anymore. They're too much for me.
Really, there was a small one in Berkeley, California. Like, I want to say, what was it last week? Like a week ago, give or take. And I went to that one, and yeah, it was really tiny, like super small. I only went because like a friend of mine, she was part of a band, and they were performing at this convention, and I only went to support her, but at the same time, I was like, you know what? I've never been to a convention before. Let's go. Why not? It was the first time I ever seen a grown man dress up as a woman, but he killed it, to be honest. You two know who 2B is
No idea.
from Nier
Mm-mm.
Automata?
Nope.
No?
But
Oh,
I never played or watched any Nier Automata stuff.
that's a shame. Anyway, amazing cosplay from this man. Little uncanny, if I'm being quite honest. Yeah, no, there's a good amount of people dressed up as their favorite characters. Uh, Ali, you've been to more conventions. I assume it's common for men to dress up as women.
I saw a buff Miku Hatsune once.
Okay, well that one's an exception. That one's just pretty badass. But
um,
I also
Oh,
saw like a dude dressed up as what's her face from Persona 5, the red-haired chick.
Sumire?
Yeah. Down to like the uniform, the hair, and everything. I don't think Sumiria had a scraggly beard, but you know it is what it is. You work with what you got.
yeah, I don't think I'd ever go to a con. I
Really?
don't
Why's
watch
that?
enough. I don't watch enough anime. Number one.
Hmm.
Number two, too many people. I mean, I'm down here in Southern California. It's gonna be too many people. Three, not really interested. Doesn't
That's fair.
interest me. I mean, I fell off anime pretty hard
I
over
mean,
the last few years.
don't get me wrong. I haven't actually watched anime or even read manga in actually a couple years now too. Like,
But the Overlord, I might like just like little ones that I've already started that I want to see the ending to. Sure.
you know, you mentioned
I
Overlord.
mean,
Yeah,
like
it's a good
ReZero is coming out with their third season, so I'm like,
I could have sworn
I
there
might
were only
watch that.
snippets of it out.
There's a trailer,
Oh, okay.
and then Overlord,
Yeah, ReZero, Overlord, they're my
and
shit.
then I'd probably like hold Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood to the top and be like, yeah, I might rewatch that a third time.
I actually never got into it. Full
It's
Metal
so
Alchemist.
good.
So I've
It's like
heard.
60 something episodes. It's not that long of an anime,
I know
and
it has a good story and all, but like I said, uh,
sucks you in.
yeah, well, it didn't suck me in. I got like 6 episodes in, and I was like, eh.
Did you did you
Uh-huh.
did you get to the episode with the girl and the dog?
Yeah.
That didn't suck you in?
No, it depressed me. Why? Your disapproval means nothing to me, Harpreet.
Such a good story.
I know. I might watch it down the line, but as it stands right now, for some reason, I just haven't been watching anime or anything like that. But it is what it is. Back to my con story. Yeah, no, it was great. Like seeing all of them perform as like a mini orchestra. They played a lot of Studio Ghibli songs, which, oof, I wish I paid more attention to those in the movies.
Still need to
music
watch some
score.
of them.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
true. That is true. I still haven't even watched My Neighbor Totoro.
I can't believe this. I
Never
You,
have.
watched that.
every single person I've met who likes Studio Ghibli, when I tell them I haven't seen My Neighbor yet, they immediately give me the side eye.
Haven't watched that. Haven't watched Howls.
I haven't watched that one either.
Oh my god, you both disappoint me. I have one of the characters from My Neighbor Totoro tattooed on my arm.
Dang!
I haven't shown you that, Danny. It's huge. But I don't know. Howl's Moving Castle, My Neighbor Totoro are both very, very good, and you both need to watch them. I still need to watch like Kiki's Delivery Service.
Oh, that was adorable. In my opinion, it was okay. It was just okay. I watched Princess Mononoke. That one,
Princess Mononoke. Yes,
that
was
one I
it.
liked and didn't like. It's a weird in between. The story was
I
weird.
like how they call it Princess Mononoke, but like
Why is she
more than
princess?
half the
How is she
stories.
princess?
Well, more than half the stories that a guy.
Yeah, that's true. Well, it's kind of like
I,
Legend of Zelda, you know? Like it's all about Link, but at the very end, look, there's Zelda. You wonder why everyone like confused, like thinks Link's name is Zelda.
yeah. Have you guys seen what happens in the most recent game?
No.
Nope.
We won't talk about it then. No
You
spoilers.
you talked about it. I remember you telling me.
I do not care for spoilers because I don't really follow the Legend of Zelda anyway.
Yeah, I don't.
Okay.
I've never fully beat a game.
Okay, then quick spoiler warning to our listeners.
Fuck the
And I guess
spoiler warning.
good segue to our topic, which is what makes a good story.
Oh, I forgot we had a main topic.
Yes.
Oh, Danny.
What?
And I think this applies because it's a good story, but the main part of it that threw me off was the fact that your whole thing is you're trying to save Zelda. That's Legend of Zelda, right?
Uh-huh.
At the end of Tears of the Kingdom, or I guess when you finally find Zelda, you find out she turned herself into a big fuck off dragon and cannot be saved. She is
Oh.
just bound to wander the skies forever. And there's nothing you can do, as far as I'm aware, because I got to that part and I got really upset. I just stopped playing it.
Hmm.
Because
Well,
there
I
was
want to say like
still.
allegedly, it's Nintendo. They could just say, "Whoa, but we didn't tell you about the super magic elixirs sent from God Himself to cure her of this affliction."
Yeah,
There's a
the
thing like the
only.
A lot of ways to do
Triforce.
that. Yeah.
Use the
The only part.
Triforce.
Yeah, the only part that I had left was like the fight with Ganondorf. Which, who knows, maybe. I doubt it. I honestly doubt it. They made it seem very. This is just her now.
We'll
Hey,
see. We'll see.
she doesn't have to be saved now. She's a dragon.
That's true. Now it's the
You
Legend of
should
Link.
now it's the Legend of Link. Now you play the dragon.
Yeah.
How you play the dragon. I personally, I loved that game up until that point. I think that very much ruined the story for me. But
I mean, maybe it feeds into the next game.
it could.
I mean, it should be a trilogy, right? I assume they wouldn't do like just 2 games and then cut it. It's always a trilogy at least.
Is it? Usually,
I don't feel like they ever do continuations of the same story.
Legend of Zelda is usually a standalone series. Tears of the Kingdom was a very new thing where it was like, oh, we're still with the same Link and Zelda. It's not a new descendant or a new timeline or whatever.
I'm pretty sure like Game Theory, MatPat, on YouTube for the dear listeners who haven't heard of this individual. He did it's like a analysis on the timeline from what I remember, and yeah, Tears of the Kingdom, that line. Yeah, actually you've seen it, right?
If you want to get
MatPat's
technical,
gone.
yeah, he retired. But if you want to get technical with it, every Legend of Zelda is a continuation of the last one because they're always like descendants or something like that. Like the previous game was like an ancestor or something.
But okay. That now it gets into a weird thing. If they're ancestors,
Yeah. Wait, hold on. Yeah,
hold
Zelda and
on.
Link meet up again.
Hold on. That's a
kinda weird.
very, very slippery slope.
I could have sworn it was like said like there's like 3 separate timelines, 3 to 5 actually. Yeah, 3 to 5 separate timelines.
I don't know. I think
No,
it
I'm pretty
gets
sure it's separate timelines, Ali.
I think it gets into because it's not super clear. I think it gets into people's personal theories, in
Like
my
I said, I'm
opinion.
going off of Map Pass theory. Like the one that stood out to me the most that I thought was really cool was like in the Wind Waker saga with
Hmm.
when Link kills Ganondorf. Ganondorf stays dead. And what's supposed to happen, supposedly in the story of Zelda, the hero every time he kills what is Ganondorf? The villain? Just is that what it's
Just
called?
a villain.
Yeah. When the hero kills the villain, the hero reincarnates and they do it all over again. Wow, voice crack. And they do it all over again. But with Wind Waker, Ganon stays dead. And the reason is that Link is not actually a descendant from the hero. He's a separate individual. So he broke the chain by killing Ganondorf, not as the hero, not as a legendary hero, but his own person, his own hero.
Hmm.
And honestly, that is like one of the coolest, like subtle changes in the narrative that I've ever seen, where
Yeah,
you're led
I
to believe
will.
this. Yeah, what?
Sorry, I was just gonna say, I just remembered. They did do one other continuation, and it was Ocarina of Time into Majora's Mask.
Mm,
Oh, yeah.
Majora's Mask was apparently a goated game.
I never played.
Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask.
I played Ocarina. I did not play Majora's.
I remember I tried it when I was like a kid, like literally like 6 years old, and I was too dumb to know how to play the game properly, so I would just run around randomly until time ran out, and then like the moon came crashing down and killed me every like 15 minutes or so. I don't remember, and I just like, man, this game sucks, and just dropped it.
Remember when Nintendo made games actually challenging?
I'm sure they'll do return to form eventually. I mean, the video game world is kind of a little shaky right now. Was it Sony that released Conquered and it just failed miserably? And then Ubisoft
I've
isn't
never.
doing so bad, so hot right now.
Activision's doing fucking great. Microsoft Activision.
Well, they got
Uh,
yeah, Activision got
COD.
Microsoft's backing.
Well, Microsoft owns Activision now, so
Well, that's
with
what I
the new
mean.
COD doing, huh?
Well, that's what I mean. Like the Activision, they're like their studio, right? But they're owned by Microsoft. But at the same time, like that studio is still, that's hard to explain. But yes, end of the day, Activision is supported by Microsoft. At the end of the day.
I mean, Activision itself was doing really well before, so maybe not internally, but their games were always doing pretty well. Even
Mm.
even though CODs are recycled every year,
It just can't die. It's too big to die.
it's too big to die. Yeah, people buy the game. I mean, now it's on Game Pass, so I don't
Yeah.
think that COD will ever die.
No, no. But what were we segueing this into?
What makes
All
a
right.
good
But it's a good
story
story.
No, no,
for
no. Like
you?
before. No, that was like the main arching topic. I remember now. I was talking about like the game industry is like a little shaky right now, here and
Mm.
there, but not all the way. And who knows how Nintendo will return to form or whatever. I don't know.
I mean,
Who knows?
I won't
Yes,
get
you.
into it, but I'm disappointed in a lot of things they're doing right now. We'll see.
You could get into it. It's the point of the podcast. Like, what specifically? What's going on with Nintendo? I don't, as you know, I don't really play Nintendo games too much.
So, I am a Pokemon game collector.
Oh, interesting.
I am no longer a Pokemon game collector
Oh, that's a shame.
because the last game specifically was such a huge disappointment. I bought both Scarlet and Violet.
Oh yeah, the buggy
Um,
mess.
it was awful. It was buggy. The story was not good. It felt really rushed, and sometimes the game was so buggy and laggy for me, it hurt my eyes and it made it feel unplayable. And let's not get started with the fact that every time you play a Pokemon game now, it's basically hand holding the entire time. It's not like
Oh,
what
that's
red,
annoying.
blue, and green used to be, where you would have to actually strategize which Pokemon you were taking into what fight and making sure you leveled your Pokemon properly. It's just take whatever the fuck you want. You could have a level 1 Pokemon in your party as long as you have at least two other higher level Pokemon. They can just carry the rest of your team.
That is true. I played one of the Pokemon games. It was Diamond, my very first one,
Diamond's good.
and it was a lot of fun. Turn-based strategy type of game, right? Um, and younger me definitely got my butt handed to me here and there. Um, I miss the times in any video game really where you have a rival, right? And you want nothing more than to curb stomp your rival, you know? I feel like
Yeah.
that's a good thing to have, like good motivation to get better or whatever at anything. But
They make
I think ever since X and Y, that's when it started. Where your supposed rival is just like
a
a
friend.
loser, pretty much.
They make all your rivals now just super friendly with you
I know it's so
and
dumb.
easy. They're supposed to be like a challenging
It's-
point to be like, hey, can you go to this area? And now you
Mhm.
can just curb stomp them, no problem.
going into like the story details of it, it's
Mhm.
sort of a hook, like a compelling hook to get you into the game, where you have this rival that you want to beat.
Oh yeah.
You want to be better than them. They aren't like, I mean, I don't exactly remember, but the rivals in the earlier games were like, I'm better than you.
Mm-hmm. And then
And you were
you
just
look at
like, you would get that, like, you see red for a second and go, no, I'm better than you, ass
Yeah.
face.
yeah,
Like
that's why I
Gary
named you ass
Gary.
face.
Gary's such a perfect example because he would taunt you
Gary,
and
yeah.
make fun of you, and you'd be like, you know what? I can't wait to
I
just
can't wait to
fuck you up.
yeah, Pikachu will zap his ass.
Yeah, exactly. Like I love that, like you were saying, right, where he goes like, "I'm better than you," and just immediately, without missing a beat, the fuck you are.
Yeah, I mean, so it hooks you in. You're just like, okay, I want to be better than you, and then you progress, and then you meet the enemy faction, whoever it is, Team Rocket or
Let's
whatever it was in the other games.
let's also talk about how the enemy factions now are barely enemy factions.
I remember
Like
them being genuinely bad, like
genuinely
bad
bad guys.
people. Yeah,
In the most recent one, they're just kids that were bullied, left the school, which is part of the story. Like you're part of like a Pokemon training school or whatever. I can't even remember. It's really stupid. And they were just bullied to the point where they were like, you know what? Fuck this. We're gonna go somewhere else and create like this new thing where we're not bullied anymore. But then they become the bullies. But part of their whole thing is they have a redemption arc. So you're like, this is an enemy faction. These are just kids that were bullied.
oh my god.
You just gotta remind them that they are to be bullied. They don't get to be bullies. And you just like give them like a swirly in the toilet.
But
I don't
yeah,
know.
it doesn't hook you in like I'm
Yeah, there's no compelling reason, Like if you don't have interesting characters, then you're doomed to fail.
yeah.
A prime example. I haven't played this game, but I've been hearing nothing but complaints online from it. Dragon Age Veilguard. Have you two heard about this game? Mm-hmm.
I've
Disappointed.
I've been thinking about buying it because I want to play it myself and get my own opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've personally heard mixed reviews.
Really? That's insane.
I've heard everything from like it forces you to make certain choices that are really stupid
Oh yeah,
to
that is like
like
the main complaint where it's like it becomes less of an RPG because your choices don't really matter. They don't make a huge impact like Dragon Age Origins did, where everything mattered. And it was one of
it's
the most
very
it was one of the biggest replay values for Dragon Age Origins, apparently, supposedly, allegedly,
Yes.
that you could do different paths, different starts, different things to get a different story ending. And yeah, even I played it like 3 times because various reasons. And even then, I wasn't satisfied with one of the choices I made that affected the ending. And I'll eventually have to go back and do it. Whereas Veilguard, apparently, you, like I said already, your choices don't really matter. There's like 2 points, two points in the story where your choice kind of matters, from what I've heard. But other than that, it's like it's pretty static. And that can be fine. But if your game is marketed as like a role playing game where your choices do matter, like Baldur's Gate, for example,
Skyrim.
yeah, that too. Then keep it like that. Make sure your choices matter. Make sure everything's good.
Or Elden Ring.
Oh, your choices don't really matter in Elden Ring.
They change depending on what you do, though. Like the ending changes.
Yeah, but that's not necessarily a choice in the narrative. That's a choice you personally make.
Yeah, I hate that.
Mm.
I really do hate that as well. What is it? A game, Dying Light 2. That one marketed itself as every choice you make matters. Every choice you make affects the overall world. That's a load of hogwash. It did not. And their release trailer that showed like one of the main choices you have to make that presumably at the time was marketed as near the beginning or middle portion did in fact change the landscape. But that was at the very end of the game, literally the last 15-20 minutes of the game. So it was one of the biggest disappointments I've ever experienced in my life because I pre-ordered that game in the hopes that it would give me a story that I craft, that I get to choose where I'm gonna go and how my story's gonna end, good or bad decisions. But I didn't get that. I got either ending A or ending B. That's all it was.
Yeah, I mean it becomes less of a pick your own adventure and more of a here's your 2 options. I mean, that's what I
Yeah.
felt about Elden Ring too. Elden Ring doesn't give you pick your own adventure. It does in the sense that it's open world and you get to pick what you do when you do it. There's a bunch of shortcuts and all that stuff, but it doesn't provide you a actual story because it's all based on lore, just like Dark Souls and everything, like all those other Souls games.
Yeah, like I said, you can have a linear story. That's fine. It is what it is. It can be amazing regardless. But if you decide to do a linear story, then everything something else has to be stand out. For example, what's it called? Shadow of War, that video game. I loved it because yeah, it was just a linear story. You had your objectives, main objectives they had to accomplish, but there was so many other things you could do. Just slaughter the enemy captains and generals, place yours, in higher ranking positions. Take
Watch
over.
out for the betrayal.
Yeah, the betrayals too. This and so many other things you could do. That having a linear story didn't matter because you could forge your own path. You could become your own badass. Um, it was just really fun. Just the gameplay itself, the combat was extremely fun. Um, and yeah, just the tactics you can use, the abilities you could also use, summoning monsters to assist you, or detonating traps to kill
That's
your enemies. Just so much you
the
could do. It's so much fun.
so it's like the story itself doesn't. It has one definite ending, but the
Oh right, sorry, I
setting.
was talking about
But
gameplay. I wasn't even talking about the story.
well, yeah, I mean the story itself has one definite ending, but the setting itself gives you the choice.
Oh yeah.
So it's like the environment of that world, sort of like how. I mean, I don't think JRPGs are a good example of this because JRPGs have one path. You're going to go down this path eventually for the story, but there's side quests. There's these side objectives that you get that give you that choice of, do I do this or not? What do I get out of this?
A
Mhm.
perfect example that just immediately came to mind is like the Persona series, right?
Yeah.
Like it's just one linear story, right? And even the combat is fun at first, right? But it gets tedious if you have to grind. But I would say what hooks people more is just like the side things, right? Like building the relationships and the bonds you have, like your character has with like everyone around him, and getting to see their stories. I think that's just really cool, and
Yeah.
sometimes it's better than actually just being in the dungeons and grinding.
You see that a lot, like Persona 4 and 5
Hmm.
specifically, because 3, a lot of the side characters are one note. Thinking like Tanaka.
Dude.
Tanaka's just such a one note character the whole time. Or like who else? I mean, you have the good relationships, like the grandparents.
Hmm.
Love me my grandparents.
Yeah.
But you go into like Persona 4 and you have these more well developed
Oh yeah.
relationships.
Oh yeah.
And then Persona 5, like you gain a father, a
Oh,
literal father.
oh yeah, dude, that was great. I love that one.
But it's these like engaging, like the character development is just so engaging in the
Oh yeah.
Persona series in general. And there's a
Uh,
lot of like foreshadowing in the relationships.
mhm. Like I already went through this. Persona 3, at least Portable, had like the best story. Persona 4 had the best bond mechanic, like like how close the friend group was, and
The,
the stories
the
overall were really good. Yeah,
relationships.
the relationships. Persona 5, at the time, it was like the most like just appealing, right? With like the graphics, the gameplay, mechanics. But now with like Persona 3 Reloaded with the remake, I'd say like yeah, Persona 5 doesn't even
I think
really have.
Persona 3 is like the most definitive when it comes to the story.
Yeah, without
Yeah.
a doubt. I think just
You
Persona 3 is like overall the best, especially now with the Reloaded.
I think it has a good balance between the, I mean, there's obviously Tanaka and like the one note
Yeah, there's gonna be
characters.
one note characters. Yeah.
I mean, I think all of them had at least one note character.
Yeah, I mean, you can't escape it. Like having that many characters and trying to give them all personalities is a bit rough, to say the
Yeah.
least.
Well, I shouldn't say it's not rough. It's more of,
Tedious. No, it's tedious. That's what I meant.
I think it gives the game a little more character
Well, no, without a doubt. Like, don't get me
having
wrong. I'm
that
not saying
one
it's
note
bad.
character.
I'm saying it's like harder for like the writers, right? Like give them all unique, differing personalities, and then keeping it going. Like that's why I'm always impressed with like One Piece, right? Like I think it's a long ass story, but every character that's introduced is unique and just incredible. And
Yeah.
the fact that who was it? Oda? Is that what his name was? Well, the
I
creator of One Piece. The creator of One Piece can keep like the main cast. Like there's already like what 7 of them, keeping them all like unique and dynamic and likable without like dropping one. Like Naruto, right? The Sakura. How everyone calls her useless. I think it's just like the creator had a rough time deciding like where am I gonna put you? How am I gonna like keep you going?
I
And
want to point out
huh?
that Sakura was better in the manga,
Was she?
and the uselessness of her and Hinata was purely on Studio whatever
People who
studio.
animated it, yeah.
It was purely on them. They did
Oh.
that. There was actually a lot more moments between Sakura and Sasuke as well in the manga
That justified their marriage. Oh,
that led
spoilers,
up
by the
to
way.
their relationship, yes. But they cut them all out in the anime because for
Boring.
some reason the studio decided they hated Sakura. And same with Hinata.
That's bizarre. That is super bizarre.
The same studio, they made another anime, Bleach. They did the same thing with Orihime
Really? She had way more stuff in the
in the
manga?
manga. Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, you're right. I love Bleach. Well, most of it. And yeah, no, like it felt like there were a lot of like just side characters, like even the main cast, like pretty much Ichigo's crew were pretty mundane, forgettable even. They emphasized Ichigo a lot, which obviously he's the main character. But yeah, it's just a balancing act of all of them. Yeah, his main crew just felt forgettable. That's all it was. I'm glad to hear that in the manga they were a little better.
Studio, what are they called? Period or whatever?
Hmm.
Something like that. They're notorious for doing that. If they decide that they don't like a coupling, like Ichigo and Orihime, they wanted Ichigo and Rukia to be together, so they gave Orihime the short end of the stick constantly.
Dude, that is pretty funny.
Same thing with Naruto, where they wanted Sakura and Naruto to be together, so they made more moments of them together that didn't exist in the manga.
That's pretty funny. Okay, that's interesting. Hear that, Harpreet? Whenever we have our animated shorts out in the future, we won't hire them.
Well, they're gonna cut out Ali completely.
Yeah. You called us out. Now you don't get an animation.
That's fine. I don't like you guys.
Yeah.
I don't want you to sponsor us.
I mean, I'll take a sponsor wherever.
HP, remember, HP, I
Oh,
use your laptop.
well, don't
Liquid
say
death.
that out loud. That's free publicity. Whatever. If we ever do make it big, we're open to sponsors. Just remember to cut out Ali.
Yeah, just
What
cut
the
out
fuck?
Ali.
That's rude as hell.
Yeah. Just kidding.
Just cut cut out all of Danny's funny moments.
Aw, but those are the best parts.
Yeah, just
Now
make
I'm
them
gonna
all
have to
Ali funny
unsubscribe
moments.
the podcast. Yeah, all Ali funny moments. And it's like a 3-minute video.
I
God.
will end your existence.
Right
here, right now.
Add that to the funny moments. All right, where were we? We got to go back.
We don't have to go back anywhere.
No, yes we do.
No,
All
we
right,
don't
so
have to go back anywhere.
You challenge me.
Hey,
You will lose.
Danny,
Yes.
Danny,
Yeah, I'm
Danny,
listening.
Danny,
I've been
Danny.
listening. Yeah.
Why are you so stinky?
So I'm not. Actually, I like to shower. It is a fact of little Danny over here.
Little Dan
Harpreet,
Dan.
on the other hand, has an insane desire to jump into dumpsters and just swim around in there with the
Hey,
raccoons.
they're cute. Leave me alone.
I never said anything negative about the raccoons. Anywho,
I'll hold
allow
on
me
to that
finish.
forever, Danny.
You'll hold on to what forever?
I'll hold on to
Hello?
that.
Okay, good. You're stinky. Hello, Ali.
You're stinky.
Sorry, my headset crapped out for a second.
That's
Ali's
okay.
stinky now. Ali's stinky now.
Dear listeners, it was
What?
all a ruse. We don't actually consider each other stinky. We're just buying time for Ali to return.
No, Ali's stinky.
Okay, well.
That's not true.
We okay, no. Since we are the poop podcast, we are all stinky.
I did sign up to be a part of this podcast.
You willingly signed the contract in blood.
Now that part eludes me. Perhaps it was the blood loss. Ali remains silent, for she was the one that forged the contract.
I'm sorry, I was thinking about the fact that I drew the thing.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yes,
that
Ali is our
involved?
fantastic artist. So if you love the imagery of our cover art, thank Ali.
And then commission her to do
Instead
more
of,
similar
instead of
cover
Christmas,
art.
thank Ali. Thankmas.
Don't.
Thank the one and only Ali. And please commission her to do more related work such as that. To get more and more of our symbolism out there to the world.
Yeah, just lots of poop everywhere.
Okay. Back
Okay.
to what we were saying, right? So we were talking about what makes a good story, and we got into the
Well,
subtopic.
we talk snippets of everything.
You dare?
I do
You
dare.
interrupt me.
I do
I
dare.
give you the concept of politeness by allowing you to finish. And I do not
Danny,
get, yeah,
Danny, 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 Danny.
saying my name over and over again isn't gonna make me forget it.
You know what, Danny? You're a
Yeah.
compelling hook.
Am I a compelling hook?
Yeah, you're also a very strong voice.
Oh, thank you. A compliment from Harpreet?
And
Oh.
also, you develop such vivid settings,
Oh, thank you. I don't know
and
how, but
you
thank
know
you.
you're the right point of view of this podcast,
Where's this going? I feel like there's an
and
insult somewhere coming along.
and, and you develop the most multi-layered conflicts in the history of man.
What the hell does that mean? I think it's a compliment.
It seems I feel like there's a butt coming or something.
I know,
What's
right?
going
I'm waiting
on?
for that. I'm like, this is too suspicious. You wouldn't be randomly complimenting me.
You make the most memorable characters too.
Are you talking about our D&D session
Oh
or?
yeah,
Oh,
100%.
okay, good. That's how I had a feeling. Like, okay, this is what we're talking about. You see, dear listeners, there's one thing you gotta know about me. I am an aficionado for storytelling. I love the concept of telling a story and the categories beneath, like what makes it good. Um, I appreciate all of the amazing compliments that Harpreet gave me. I was expecting a but. I was expecting a I didn't mean it, or I was expecting something along the lines to make me go, ah, you son of beach, you are son of beach. But it never came, and I appreciate it. But
You beach.
yeah. But as he mentioned, I did my first Dungeons and Dragons host, and I finally got to be able to tell my own little makeshift story. It was small, and it was my first time, so I had to keep it simple. But I worked with what I had, um, and I put my all into it. You know, got to do the voices for each different character. Got to describe the setting in which you are, and on top of that, you got to have like an objective, right? A good objective, or at least an objective that has hidden undertones to it to bring out that mystique, that desire to know more. And I hope I was able to do that well. I didn't. I forgot to ask Harpreet and Ali for feedback on how I did so far. We never finished the section. One of our members got sleepy and had to tuck in for the night. And by night, I
He's
mean at like 4 p.m.
at 4 p.m. till the very next day because he did not respond.
But we're not here to talk about D&D. That was just a section of what I was going to cover. For me, in my experience, what I would consider having a good story is like good characters, right? Good, relatable human characters. You don't want any of those robotic nonsense um, characters, and they have to be realistic. They can't just be like a yes man. And if they are yes men, make it work. Um, there's just so much into it I can go into that I won't just yet. So gotta have good characters, gotta have good settings, and your objective has to be interesting and worthwhile. And then
You need
I guess also
structure.
action. You gotta have some type of action or conflict in there. Not just it could be relationship wise, like falling out within a team, sorry. Or battling inner demons or whatever, just side things as well that are again interesting and relate to the overall story. Thoughts, Harpreet and Ali?
You also need. Wow. Excuse me, sir, and/or ma'am. You need structure too.
Right. Yeah,
You need,
if it's a mess, it's a mess. Like,
yeah, you need structure. You need the conflict. You need to make sure the point of view is, to the perspective of the story is ideal, or at least it fits. You need the setting. You need the characters, and you need to start it off right. A good beginning, a good hook, something to sell it. Obviously getting paid 1 gold is not the best way to start a story, but you deal with what you got.
Yes, but doesn't it bring mystique to it? Doesn't it bring questions to it? Because what also I tried to hook, but obviously I didn't really have much time. What I tried to hook you with is like, why is it so low? Why? There's also like a potential bonus for completing this request mission, whatever. What's going on here? And through that, I was able to explain, right, why this quest giver wasn't able to give you money. He lives in a backwater area where he sells literal trash for a living, and 1 gold is a good chunk of money for this individual. And it also, yeah, I gave you like I also got you to drag you into the slums and was able to describe just how bad it truly is in this portion of a city. And I also try to introduce a different element, and you all kind of just skimmed right through. I'm like, damn, that wasn't supposed to happen.
Too bad.
Yeah, exactly. But it is what it is.
You,
When
you
it comes
deal.
to Dungeons and Dragons, you just gotta adapt.
That
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 is
is the
D&D.
problem. That is the problem with DMing is that you'll prepare this entire section and your players will be like, I don't really want to go there, and you're like,
It's
I
like,
didn't, I
damn it.
didn't prepare anything else. What do you mean?
I mean, I love that I was able to have like a rock show.
Yeah, I know.
I like
When you said that, I was like, well, all right, well, fuck it. I guess we'll work with it.
There's a makeshift stage and everything. I got other musicians up there.
that it revealed more about my character,
Mm-hmm.
which was fun because the campaign we're doing is very we switched DMs, so none of us have anything. At least I didn't write anything down for backstory. I just had ideas. So I thought it was fun to do that because it helped develop her more and bring her out of her shell.
That was another like had to adapt really quick when I was having you traverse through the slums. I was like, oh, they're not gonna know where to go. This is a perfect time for them to. I forced them to ask questions and ask who to go around. And then that's when I asked, yeah, none of you would have come down around this place, would you? Like you're not familiar with the slums. And then to my face palm, you, Ali, were like, yeah, actually, I think my character would be around here. I'm like, damn it! Now I gotta make this work. And lo and
Sorry.
behold, I was able to.
Yeah, I mean, I think DMing such a on the fly storytelling that
Mhm.
it puts your creativity to a test. It brings your like social skills to a test.
Mhm.
It takes your it's so improved,
Oh yeah,
ad
improvisation.
libbed, improved in the
I keep
moment
using the
that
word adapt, but improv is like the right word. Yeah, you're right.
yeah, DMing's a lot of improv, and it's a lot of you have the story that you want to tell, but you have these players that will destroy you at every single moment that they can.
Not even that. You guys were trying to destroy me. It's just like you don't know where the story's going, so you think, oh, this will be a good idea, and I'm going
But you have to play with it on the fly. Like,
exactly, and I did, and I'm
Like
proud of
in
myself for able to hold down the fort for as long as I could.
I'm
Ali,
just
you were gonna
glad
say
that
something? Yeah.
this was your first time DMing with a group of people that what's the words I'm looking for?
That are forgiving.
Forgiving, yeah.
but our
Because
understanding of
understanding
yeah.
and we don't you it's good to DM with a group of people you're comfortable with because I personally think the first time I DM'd Curse of Strahd that there was a
Uh-huh.
moment in there that really messed me up as a DM and I didn't know what to do and I kind of just let it happen and I wish I had.
Yeah,
I
like
don't know.
Harpreet said, like such on the spot type of thinking, like anything that happened is like, well, you got to make a quick decision since it's the whole concept of fuck it, we're doing it live, and you
Yeah,
can only hope for the best.
I mean, I've only listened to one D&D podcast, Dungeons and Daddies, and
What a name.
oh yeah, it's a good one. It's a good one. It's funny. It's hilarious.
I can tell.
That's free advertising. Dungeons and Daddies, Dad.
But
Oh wait, that's what I was gonna say. A lot of their stuff, like you can tell, like their DM Anthony is like, you asshole, but he plays it off like, okay, yeah, we'll do that.
I like that concept of like you can hear the deep breath like
Go ahead.
okay. I love that concept.
Uh,
For me it's just like brain freeze or like oh, and I have to think like okay.
Okay.
However, we have been talking about D&D instead of the topic. So I already set up 3.
that is the topic. It's storytelling. It's about
Well,
stories.
no, it is storytelling, but I thought we were like more of like just a good story. Right now we're just
I
talking
mean,
about like the story
that's a,
structures and how
that's part of it too,
D&D
because
yeah.
D&D is a giant story. It's a giant
all right.
story that's live.
Okay,
That's
well,
played
reporting
through a
you
living setting.
for hurting my feelings, first of all, and then second.
Yeah, this is where I hurt your feelings after complimenting you. This is the part.
Finally, this is what I was expecting.
Danny, you're
Yeah.
dumb.
Okay, well, first of all, we all know that. The viewers know that. Second of all, you're gonna have to try harder than that, buddy.
Danny, I could squash you in a heartbeat in a mental contest of will versus not will.
See, that's funny because like my brain is so smooth that your insult will just
It just
slide
bounced
right
off.
Yeah, they'll just slide right off. So
It's so
you honestly,
smooth. It's so smooth and round. It just goes boing.
yeah, exactly. So all of your insults just bounce right off, slide right off. So really, you're
You
just
know
tiring
what?
yourself
I
out
said you
little
had a
bit. Yeah.
strong voice. No, you don't have strong voice.
Okay, what does a strong and weak voice mean then, Harpreet?
Danny.
Yeah.
What's 2 plus 2?
Oh, let me pull out a calculator real quick. 2 plus 2 equals 3.
Somebody does not know how to count.
You're right, I could use my fingers. Hold on. 1, 2. What comes after 3 again?
Ollie, I'm gonna stab him. I'm gonna stab him.
Sarcasm aside, dear viewers. Where were we? Yes, D&D is like a giant story, and it's rough as the DM, improvising and adapting, trying to keep the story great and engaging for the players, as well as that self-satisfaction of like, yes, we got through this point. I'm glad they liked it, this and that. But I want to cover 3 individual topics specifically. 1, good character. Good characters. We already went over that a little bit with the rival concept. I love that concept so much. It just fuels your spite to do so well. Like you said, Gary, just like an absolute douche, insulting you, berating you, taunting you, and then you just obviously like, you know what? I'm gonna kick your ass. And then with more rival concepts, right? Like, have you heard of the overly nice rival? Like the unintentionally, shoot, what's it called? Backhanded compliment rival, or like some like backhanded compliments, right? Like having a rival that's just like nauseatingly nice, but
Yeah.
if your character like messes up or like makes a mistake or loses or whatever, they'll hit you with that backhanded compliment, like, "Oh, that was actually a pretty easy task. I'm surprised you weren't able to do it. That's okay." It's like are you what are you saying to me?
I think a good example of that kind of rival, except with a little bit of a twist on it, is Akechi from
Oh,
Persona
that's
5.
right. Fuck that guy.
I was thinking.
Yeah. He starts off really nice, and then he has that twist of,
He had the twist of I hate you.
I hate you.
Dude, that's thank you so much for mentioning that. It's a Persona 5, dear listeners, and spoiler alert. This character by the name of Akechi, right, tries to come off as like your buddy, right? Like you and the main character have like, or the main character and Akechi have some things in common, and actually have pretty even ground and pretty cool with each other. However, the huge twist that gave me complete shivers at the end is because of those aspects, because that they're equal, Akechi despises you. And just the way the voice actor was able to just say it with so much calm vitriol sent shivers down my spine. And I was like, ooh, let's go. It actually made me sit up
Wasn't
straighter, like, ooh, okay, okay.
There's
isn't
moments
that the
towards the
same
end.
voice actor though? I thought it was the same voice actor that did Akechi and Joker.
No,
Mm-mm. Two
that would
different
have been
voice
sick.
actors.
That would have been a crazy concept because Persona loves to do that. I'm surprised they didn't do it for 5, but that's besides the point. What were you gonna say, Ali?
I mean, towards the end, he was definitely not as calm. He was, after he revealed his true intentions, he became more and more feral,
Mm-hmm.
I want to say, and like really grew into a true rival.
Oh yeah.
I don't know.
No. Yeah,
I love Akechi's character.
I do too.
He's such a deep and well voiced character.
Oh yeah, like I said, the voice actor just, well, English voice actor. I obviously haven't played the Japanese version, but the English voice actor just killed it. Just amazing work. Kudos to that individual. You know what? I'm gonna pull up his name right now because
Here's
It's
my
Robbie
question.
Damon. Robbie
Okay,
Damon
well,
for Akechi.
Is it really Robbie Damon?
It's Robbie Damon for Akechi, and then Xander Movis for Joker.
I love Robbie Damon.
Robbie Damon was actually, I think he was in the Dead by Daylight game that came out. That's like
Casting of Anne Frank.
yes,
I haven't played it, so I'm not sure.
yeah, he's in that. He's in that. Robbie Damon. He has like a very noticeable voice,
Yes.
just like Yuri
Speaking,
Lowenthal. I'm sick and tired of his voice. He's an amazing person, I'm sure. I'm just sick and tired of his voice.
here's a question. Do you think that bad voice acting destroys the potential of a story?
Yeah,
Potential of a story?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
know it definitely destroys a character.
It can destroy the story.
because Dragon Age Origins, I love that game, do not get me wrong. Voice acting at some points isn't the greatest,
Never
but
played in a
I
while.
still love the story.
Mm-hmm. Again, yeah, I would say like the overall story, no for bad voice acting. Unless it's everybody sucks at voice acting, it might damper the experience overall. But the story itself, if it's good, it's good. You know, like think of like a book, right? There's no voice act. You put your own voices in your head, I guess. But like overall, the story is there and it's amazing. It's great. But yeah, so I would argue like no, I wouldn't say bad voice acting would ruin a story. It ruins the character. I mean, look at Persona 3 Portable with Fuka. The voice actress, I shouldn't hate on her, but I will. She just did an abysmal job at voice acting. Like, every time Fuka came up, I was like, oh my god, someone shut her up.
She's definitely a lot better in Reload. I'll say that.
I would hope. I would definitely hope.
You guys need to beat that game still. It's
I
so
haven't-
good.
I haven't even gotten through the prologue yet. I feel bad.
Yeah,
One of my favorite games of all time, Persona 3, and I can't even
But we
finish it
play
right.
Portable.
Yeah, I played Portable too, and that's for like
That's why it's hard for me to
Yeah.
finish. Yeah, it's hard for me to finish because I already know what's happening.
I already did this.
Yeah, but I think I have the same feeling, and then they started adding in the new cutscenes, and I was like my entire brain went, "This is new. I like this," and
Or like
then I
the
couldn't
meme
stop
like
playing.
like monkey neuron activation.
Exactly. So I think you guys just need to play it until you get to those new cutscenes, and then you'll be like, ooh, ooh, ooh,
That's so
ooh.
far. That's so far into the game.
It's so good though.
It's so far. Like even I'm in like September or something or October, and I'm like, no, I
Yeah,
don't think I can make it.
you're not that far to the
I know. I'm on Shinji's stuff.
Spoilers.
Who cares? Persona 3 has been out for so long.
Yeah, and look how long it took us to play Persona 3 Portable. Harpreet.
If they haven't played it yet, that's on them.
You're a
it's
horrible
like
human being. Anyway,
it's like
continue.
getting spoiled for the Titanic but never have watching it. It's been out for so long.
Oh,
You should at
people
least
should know what the Titanic is at least.
yeah. You shouldn't be
And
surprised
if you
when the
don't know
ship
what the
sinks.
Titanic is, you need to get an education.
What's a Titanic?
I'm gonna
I'm
smack
kidding.
Danny. I'm gonna
Relax.
smack Danny. I'm gonna smack Danny.
Like you could tell, I hesitated to say it out loud. Do I want to say it?
Even you were like, I don't know about this one.
Yeah, exactly. But the reaction was worth it. Going back, yeah, we're talking about like really good rival characters, right? But what about best friend characters, right? Like, in my honest opinion, we keep using Persona as like an example.
Because
Like
it's the perfect story.
Ryuji's
I
character,
mean, how many of you played Final Fantasy?
I haven't. I have it all
I
Yeah,
haven't.
so
purchased and I
Final
haven't touched it.
Fantasy. It's another game with like a best friend.
Or
The
hell, even just
Pokemon games
regular
these
media,
days.
like TV show, movie. Can you think of a good best friend character?
Psych. I can think of Psych, but like,
I've never heard of Psych.
oh yeah, see, that's the problem.
But you can still describe it, like what,
No,
like those characters, right? Like the best friend character archetype, right? Where it's like they're with you through thick and thin, right? Um, I think yeah, those are like I think what sets them apart is like how willing they are to like go through like borderline suicidal uh events by your side to make sure you come out on like okay or whatever. I feel like those like aspects like that, are pretty cool. I mentioned Ryuji from Persona 5. I think he was okay as the best friend character. As his own character, he did pretty well, but
Yosuke from 4.
Yosuke from 4 was kind of again a little meh. I mean,
I
again, the aspect of like spoilers for whoever hasn't played Persona 4. We're near the end of his Bond story, right? Where you get into a fist fight with him because he's insistent on it, and you come out stronger. It's like that's a good one too. That's another good aspect, like clear jealousy over the best friend, and then you settle it, and all peachy keen again. Like I haven't. This is embarrassing to admit. I haven't seen Lord of the Rings, but there is like a really good scene in one of the movies. Spoilers again,
Oh my
where
god.
was it? Is it
if you haven't
Frodo?
seen Lord of the Rings at this point,
Uh-huh.
spoilers are bound because everybody talks about.
Okay, well, good for you, Ali. I haven't
We
seen it.
should just make this no matter what. Spoilers.
All right,
Everything's a
everything we
spoiler.
talk about, there's potential spoilers. We'll say the name of whatever work we're talking about.
And if you don't like that, you can skip
Yes,
till we stop talking about it.
But yeah,
I won't put a timestamp down. You listen at a risk.
God, you ruined the experience for our listeners. But yes, in Lord of the Rings, there's a scene with like I guess Frodo rowing a boat into a lake. He left behind his buddy, his best friend, or whatever, because he didn't want him to get injured. And then here he comes, like this best friend, like running out, was like, Frodo, Frodo, wait! And he's running into the lake, and it is clear that this character, this best friend character, does not know how to swim, and yet he is running through the lake, like drowning in it to get closer, forcing Frodo to go back and like save his dumbass from drowning. And they have their moment, and they continue on the journey together. Like that is like incredible. That is touching. That is a true ride or die best friend character right there. Like, can you think of any other like examples of like this character archetype?
Mm,
Like off the top of our heads, I guess not, right?
yeah, I don't think so. I mean, it's a very common trope in a lot of.
In a lot of medium, but like it's as I mentioned, it's like it's done so cookie cutter version nowadays, where it's not as impactful. Whereas compared to like I just mentioned, like the Lord of the Rings scene or certain scenes in Persona, I guess. But but yeah, that's just another archetype. But we've been on topic, this subtopic for a while. What I was trying to get out of this is good characters contribute heavily to a good story, right? If you're rooting for the characters, or if you can root for the characters, if you can say, "Oh, I love these characters," and support them, then it just builds onto the story, as well as like those characters, like their own backgrounds, their own motivations, their own this and that affect the story. And on top of that, if said characters die and their deaths can contribute to the story too, not only does it like break the heart of the fans of that character, but it still like propels the story forward, giving the remaining characters like more motivation or like time to like grow from the loss of a character. Make them more human, make them more have people invest in them more. It's great. I personally do enjoy. Well, that's a twisted way to put it. I appreciate in stories when they kill off characters, right? Like good or bad doesn't matter. It's more realistic that way, and it makes the viewer like feel way more than just like a cookie cutter happy ending. We all made it out alive. It's boring if there's no risk. That's why I like the anime Akame ga Kill, one of my all-time favorites, because anybody can die in that story. Good, bad, doesn't matter. Death is impartial. And in a realistic sense, yeah, the good guys aren't going to get out of this one scot-free. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel that
Yeah.
way about Danganronpa.
Oh, that's right. How could I forget
Oh
about
God.
Despair.
Oh yeah, I was definitely feeling despair. Like,
Lots of despair.
yeah.
Danganronpa is easily. It's cheesy, sure, in some spots, in a lot of spots. I love Danganronpa. It.
You still need to watch the anime, Ali.
Shut up.
Dude, it wraps it up with a pretty neat bow.
Yeah.
I will watch it at some point.
It'll break your heart, but yeah.
That's why I haven't watched it, is because I know it'll make me cry again. And
Ali, you do it earlier, you won't have to cry later.
I have to be in a mood to cry to watch things like that. And you know what? I have a list of things to watch when I'm ready to cry. And Danganronpa is there.
Oh, yeah. Dear listeners, Danganronpa is one of the best stories I personally have ever had the pleasure of witnessing. Up until V3, then it all went downhill.
We don't talk about that.
Yeah, we don't talk about V3, but everything before V3 is just beautiful, amazing.
V3 is not real.
Yeah, V3 is not real. Yes, it's all an elaborate ruse by the Danganronpa team. But yeah, just ugh, it's a roller coaster. It's a roller coaster. And as I mentioned, it's I have categories to describe endings for stories. Right? There's the classic good ending, the classic bad ending, and the two sub ones that I like to say are hopeful ending and hopeless ending. Hopeful ending I describe as a story that ends where like you know people are dead, a catastrophe happened, something of that nature. However, there is going forward in the story a bright side where they look to the sky and go, we can rebuild, with a smile on their faces, even though they experienced something tragic. they're still in for like a good future, if that makes sense. Whereas a hopeless ending is the exact opposite of what I just said, right? Where you stop a nuke from being launched, right? But it's discovered that it was heading straight for like a Lovecraftian monster's den that's gonna emerge soon. So at the moment, you save the country of Zimbabwe, but you're doomed because that Lovecraftian monster is gonna emerge regardless, and now you got a new problem. So those are my definitions for endings, which obviously is contestable. We all have different ideas. For Danganronpa, it is a hopeful ending, and honestly, those ones are the ones that hurt but feel the best. Feel the best, in my opinion.
I
Thoughts?
mean,
You
it
think that?
ties into the theme of the game, which
Mhm.
is despair.
Despair and hope.
Versus hope.
Yep.
Yeah,
Which one
and all you
ultimately wins?
see,
I think it was
well, yeah,
Danganronpa that like made me come up with like those two, like hopeful and hopeless. Had to be.
I mean,
Had to be.
they were very much a play at what you're experiencing. It was a lot of despair through the game, but
Mhm.
that tiny bit of hope is what, you know, keeps you engrossed in the story. I mean, it's less of a game and more of a story that you're just experiencing.
Yeah, it's all story driven for Danganronpa. It was just amazing.
Yeah, I mean, it's a visual novel, so it's like less. It's literally less of a game.
Yeah.
You're just pointing and clicking.
You're there for the story, less the game.
I mean, the only game part was the trials,
Mhm.
but
And in classic Japanese style game fashion, you also have like the side objective of just like getting to know everyone else present, which
your
again
fellow
is super
prisoners.
interesting. But yeah, uh, I forgot what we were talking about right before this tangent into one of the greatest stories of all time.
I can't remember.
Yeah,
Whatever. I know we covered already the topic of like good characters, right? Like good characters are vital to a good story. Um, the settings, obviously, very important in the story as well, in my opinion, right? Like where is this taking place, right? Are you medieval fantasy, modern day, future, sci-fi, um, steampunk, cyberpunk? You know, knowing where you stand in like where your story's gonna take place and making it clear where the story's setting is gonna be is always important. I'm sure it's not really that hard to do. I think the least hard, in my opinion. I'm always preferential to like medieval fantasy with magic and stuff, but that's besides the point. Um, Thoughts on the idea of like crafting a good setting in order to make a good story?
Um,
Oh, and by setting, I also mean like just also the conflict as well, like the actual plot.
I feel like the conflict's separate from setting because setting's really the environment,
Ah, fine, we'll do that then.
and then conflict is what's the aim of the story. That's depending on what the subject of the story is.
All right, conflict like side stuff too, you know, like
I
the main character's like long lost mother is around, but he also has to kill this ultimate dragon or whatever.
Mm,
That was just a terrible example. Give me some slack.
no, Daniel, no.
Anyway, what are your thoughts then on
I think it's
settings?
setting's incredibly important to the overall story.
mhm.
I think you need to have this well developed world. You have to know, like,
Oh god, the political stuff too. Yeah.
well, everything. It's everything from like, let's say, high fantasy, and it doesn't necessarily have to be medieval high fantasy. I mean, in my mind's eye, I think of high fantasy as anything with magic
Yeah.
or these other species of race or races.
Hmm.
Think D&D, but D&D is firmly rooted in medieval high fantasy.
Yeah.
But you can have high fantasy, like, I don't know of any good story that goes with high fantasy and it's sci-fi. It's this futuristic version of the medieval society.
Yeah, that
So,
would be a little weird. You're right.
like, my nuance is thinking, like, okay, well, you can have a high fantasy setting and have it be in, the industrial age. You have this weird confluence of magic and technology. I'm thinking, like Legend of Korra. Legend of Korra is a good example because you have technology taking place. You have vehicles, you have these massive like ships, you have tanks and all these crazy things that came out from Avatar: The Last Airbender. At the end of you saw these tanks getting developed. You saw these massive ships. But it's taken up a notch with having that technology be readily available to more people. You have cars, but you still have these airbenders. You still or the reemergence of airbenders. You have that could just fly around. You have these firebenders that could kind of fly around, depending on the situation. You have earthbenders that could move the earth and literally give themselves their own vehicle of transport, and waterbenders that are in the water. So like it having that confluent setting of technology and fantasy of some kind, and developing upon that. So having this world or this society, or depending on how wide the scope of the world is, there's other, like Shadow of the Colossus.
You were talking about Shadow of the Colossus, like an old game.
Well, they made a
Beautiful.
remake of it recently.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, it was this. I think it's the same people who made the Demon Souls remake, made the Shadow of the Colossus remake.
Oh, okay.
Um, but Jack played it, or Sean played it. Jacksepticeye.
You dare
Uh,
call him by his name? You are not his
Sean.
friend.
Well, he goes by Sean, so
Okay, well.
that's his actual name. Like, he played it, and I never played it. I had a PlayStation 3 where I could play it, but I never played it. I wish I did. It's the setting of that world is so desolate. It's so empty. It's so void.
Yeah, and it brings out just the mysterious aspect to it.
Yeah, it's like, how did this world come to be? And that's the thing with setting. It not only tells you what the world is like, but it tells you that it gives you that feeling of what's going on. Like, you can have Persona's a good example. Persona 5 has a unique setting of being in Tokyo, and Persona 4 has a unique setting of being in the countryside, and 3 is in this offshoot city,
Yeah, man-made city, yeah.
a part of a man-made
Man-made
portion
island, yeah.
man-made island. So like,
All cities are man-made. Wow, I'm stupid.
yes, Danny. Or like going into like Lord of the Rings. That's high fantasy. That has its own world. It has its own society. It's developing those nuances to that world. So like, making it so that you see these different living portions of the world.
Yeah, I think what
And
what my brother said best. How he put it, and I completely agree with him. First, like also with the setting, right? It keeps moving, right? It does not revolve around your main cast, right? So while your main cast is doing something, something else in the world is happening, whether that be like a small territorial dispute that ends up happening to be a bigger problem down the line. You can have that in the background, or have like snippets of it in their story, like little newspapers that they're reading about, like, oh yeah, look, there's a weird war going on in the northern section. just this and that is that's I think is the most interesting if a story can do that. Um, exactly that, just things happening in the background while the main cast is doing supposedly something way more important. Literally, but to their not like unbeknownst to them, like those background things that are happening are actually gonna come back to affect them in the future story. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, well, how many of you have both of you watched The Hunger Games?
I read the books.
Okay,
I
Ali.
watched the first one. I read the first book. I cried, and then I didn't want to watch or read them anymore.
I
Oh my
cried.
god. Oh my god. I watched the first one last night. So I that setting, I mean, I had to get more into what the story is about. But I was watching it, and the person I was watching it with, she told me a lot of the background of like why the world exists the way it does. And I got snippets of it through the movie. Some of it I understood immediately, and others I was just like, okay, like I need to either go back to watch it, or I need to get an explanation of why the world's like this, and then I can actually get the setting more thoroughly.
You could understand it better, yeah.
Yeah, because I understood this as the setting was. I understood it perfectly, but having that extra details of how that world works gives you a boost, or like an enhanced understanding of the story.
And it sounds like you would also be able to appreciate the story more.
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate the story as it sits, but having that extra bit of world building. Obviously, there's still 3 more movies I have to watch, but having watched the first movie, like I am interested in the setting more than a lot of. I mean, the story was good, but it also comes into like going from the setting to the conflict, like flowing into that next. Sort of go hand in hand, but the conflict is not in the setting. It's side by side. They're parallel, if you will. You have the setting that develops, you have the world that develops, you have the living, breathing nature of the set of the world, in conjunction with the conflict that's sort of centers you in the story. You're looking at this specific segment of the setting where the conflict exists. So, like Hunger Games, the conflict is the Hunger Games itself. It's the world is set up to have the Hunger Games exist because of what happened in the past.
Yeah, I can see this. I can definitely see it.
Hmm. Yeah.
Or we can go Danganronpa. The setting is that you had this girl who was fucking insane
Yeah.
and got other people to be insane. That's the setting is developed as you're in this high school, you're trapped inside of it because some sick fuck wants you to play their little game, and the conflict is you personally with these other high schoolers trying to get out without killing each other. Obviously that doesn't work out, but it's a similar level of conflict. That conflict between you and the gamekeeper, whoever it is. I mean, you think it's Monokuma the whole time, but there's somebody playing at those strings or pulling at those strings to enhance the conflict, especially like when they do certain things with certain characters, and you go, no.
Oh yeah.
I also want to clarify that I didn't finish watching the Hunger Games simply because it didn't make me cry. I didn't watch it because I'm not the biggest fan of dystopians. dystopian storylines. I think Danganronpa is the only exception.
I think understanding dystopian storylines helps you understand the world better.
I
I
have too
think like
much anxiety.
Fahrenheit 451, that one, that dystopian society is very particular, very peculiar, but it's also very much based on real life or the potential of what real life could be.
That
And
book,
I think having that understanding of a dystopian society lets you recognize, especially if you critically are thinking about it as you're reading, or as like a, I mean, in the case, I had to read it in high school, so I had to write a paper on it. And so having that understanding of, you know, consciously reading the story to understand what it's actually saying, you know, it gives you a unique perspective on the world. It's similar to like other books like Ender's Game or Animal Farm. They give you this perspective on the world. Like Ender's Game's all about this war that's happening between humanity and an alien race. And you, as a student in this military academy, or not you, Ender,
Yeah, Ender.
Ender, who is the character you are in the perspective of, you are in this military academy playing this game that tests you whether you're a good, you know, military leader in a way, or being able to strategically control a military and or a military force to go against these aliens. And having that as that's a dystopian in a way. It's a little dystopian with how the game is set up and how you are against all these other kids your age, or the Enders against all these other kids his age or around his age. Or in the case of Animal Farm, you're talking about communism. you're
Different
talking
approaches, yeah.
you're talking about Russia mostly. You're talking about the Soviet Union. Or I mean, there's a bunch of those like TikToks out like, brother, can I have the oats? Can I have some oats?
Brother, give me oats.
The humans have given me the oats. They have chosen me. It's understanding that setting conflict, that sort of world building, that the dialogue of the story gives you an understanding of the real world. I hope that made sense.
It did. It did. No, I get what you mean. Like, for me, I'm sorry. I simplify it for myself. Where it's like understanding it all, right? The setting, the backgrounds, all of that helps you like understand and appreciate the story more. You know, like for example, just like even this, like I said, like I mentioned earlier, right? Like background things that are happening that eventually um, affect the story down the line, right? Like if you have like little subtle hints here and there. I think there was like a few games that did that I just can't remember off the top of my head right now. But it just shows how like clever the storytelling is, you know, like so much more thought and effort being put into it that end up surprising the reader, viewer, whatever, even more. For example, the like you were mentioning Ender's Game, right? We don't have to say spoiler alerts anymore. You already know. How the ending, the twist ending with that, the whole
Yeah.
time was it just was mind-boggling. Oh my god, I didn't even realize it. Like the signs were
Yeah.
there, and I just didn't realize it. That's so cool, you know. Like I appreciated the story more. It made me
Mm-hmm.
think like the story was so much better because of it, because of like the twist at the end,
Yeah.
and it was just amazing, just great. Ali, your thoughts? Head empty.
I guess my main thoughts of there are certain storylines like that, especially if they're dystopian, that I can't personally watch or read because of my anxiety. Sometimes that can trigger it. When we read Fahrenheit 451 in high school, I had to leave the classroom because I had an anxiety attack.
Dang.
While we were doing the like classroom, and when I came back, I had a second one, so I got sent home. So
don't even remember how.
dystopian
Yeah.
things like that, I can't do personally.
Well, that's okay. We all have our ticks. Harpreet is apparently smelling.
No, I can't smell everything.
No, you're okay.
You're smelly.
Damn it. I wasn't gonna go into it anymore. But you
Danny,
dragged
I'm
me.
going to send my dog
Stop
shit
it.
on your bed
Stop
again.
it.
Yes, and listeners, again. I did say again.
Thank you for clarifying. Now your mother will know that you are the weird one, not me.
My mom does not care. My mom will skip this part.
Oh, okay. Got you. But yeah, we've covered those two amazing topics, right? The setting, characters, and I feel
A
like
little bit of conflict.
well, there's another one, but the plot is self-explanatory. You know, there's not much to go into depth, right? Have something interesting. Have some twists
Well,
and turns
the
here and there, right?
plot is, I mean, the plot has a lot of nuance to it. So
Mhm.
it starts off with like a good beginning, a good hook, a way of pulling somebody into the story. Think like Ender's Game. It starts off with you. Oh wait, was it Ender's Game? Oh, maybe Halo. Halo's a good hook too.
Oh, that's right.
Halo, like the original Combat Evolved, has a good hook to its story. You are on a ship, you get out of your pod, and you're instantly told to grab a gun.
Yeah. Oh yeah, just right into the action, right into
Yeah, and that hook of getting pulled in and basically told we're getting attacked. Get your ass ready because we're gonna fuck some shit up right now.
And you are absolutely right. And then like the opposite, right? With like again, I keep saying this. With Danganronpa, it's just like monologue in the beginning. Not even interesting monologue. It's super boring, to be quite honest
Yeah.
with you. And it just kind of like makes you shy away from that story because it's just ugh. When is anything gonna happen? You know, this is the main thought process. What
Mhm.
else? What else? Hell, there are some really good stories that do have like really slow beginnings. An anime, I would say like when I watched years ago, it's like Black Clover, right? It was extremely slow. Like the first, God knows how many episodes. Hell, I think the first season was so slow, but then it started ramping up and it became really good. But just that beginning alone was like it's enough to make you go, maybe this isn't for me. And it sucks, you know, it sucks. Without that good hook, like you mentioned, Harpreet, it's like
Yeah, I mean that's
you won't
just
be able to bring people in.
the beginning of the plot line. So it's like you need the hook, you need a good beginning, you need a good strong foundation for the story, for the plot to continue. You need to have those instances of character development, of getting other characters involved in the story, having the bits of the setting sort of develop in that story, and like with that requires the structure of the overall plot. You need to have that depending on how the story is written. You'll have multiple sort of like acts, if you will.
Oh yeah.
Or in like an anime, it's story arcs. Things like that, and having introductions of new bits of information that help develop the overall story. And like yeah, it's stuff like that, and having real life like actions and reactions, and it doesn't necessarily have to be in your, I feel like, let's say you're focused on one singular character.
Mm-hmm.
You are that character, you are living through that character's eyes. Other stuff's happening in the world that will affect the plot line, and you have to be able to not only think ahead to those reactions, but you also have to be able to incorporate that into the point of view of your character.
Sure, and then come up with like how would they realistically respond to the situation, this and that. Yeah.
Yeah,
embody your character.
yeah, and then the theme of whatever the story is. And if you have multiple arcs, multiple acts, there could be these smaller segments of the theme that's introduced each time. That you're in these different acts or these different portions of the story, and having like it relate back to what's the question. Every story has a question. Like some kind of overarching like question to the story. Is it what's happening here? What is this conflict? Why does this conflict exist? Why can't I win? Why can't I get better? Things, it's little questions that develop into the main question of the story. I think Ender's Game is, why am I doing this? I think that was the main question, right? Like, what's the point of this? What's the point of this?
It's also for just character development as well. You know what I mean? Just like for the character itself, like why can't I beat this individual, or like why? Yeah, like you said, like why am I fighting for this cause or this and that? When it's a questionable cause, this and that. But yeah, you could do a lot with just like asking questions to yourself and to your character. Like, okay, why are you doing this? Why am I writing you this way? Why am I doing this? Why am I doing that? You're right. There's a lot you can do. There's a lot you can do. But yeah, I feel like plot is the bare bone frameworks of the plot is just pretty simple. Have
It's
think
simple
of
and
a conflict.
complex.
Think of some kind of conflict, interesting conflict. Make it interesting, and try to make it affect more than just the character. Make it bigger. Bigger is better in this case, I guess.
I mean, the conflict can be small. It can be like an individual's conflict. It could be like, I'm thinking of like A Silent Voice, anime movie, really sad. It's the girl that's deaf.
Again, never heard of it.
Wow, I thought you watched it.
If it's a sad movie, I'm never
so
gonna watch it.
good.
Did you watch Your Name?
No.
Oh my god.
Like I said, I avoid sad stories like the play because I just don't want to be sad. I can recognize they're good stories,
Well, okay, so in A Silent Voice, the conflict is between this kid who bullied a deaf girl. And now he's having these issues in his current life, and it deals with themes of depression, themes of not fitting in, themes of bullying, and how does one and then growth, the theme of growth. How does growth look in this girl's perspective and this boy's perspective?
Okay. So just something significant, a topic that is significant.
It's really a story about these two people. It's not. I mean, there's other people involved. There's a world that's lived in and everything. There's a setting.
Yeah, this conflict doesn't affect like the overall world. Doesn't affect the city. Doesn't affect their street.
It affects these two people. It affects only these two people.
So my mistake. We'll rephrase what I said. Just a significant conflict.
Yeah, a significant conflict / question. Like, I don't know what's another little one.
Yeah, like smaller ones. They're hard. They seem a little harder to do, but at the same time, they can also pack.
I mean, I think ReZero's concept is interesting. Of
save the girl.
Save the girl. Concept. It's the concept. That's the say. How do you save this girl? Without losing your sanity.
He's got a lot of things. How am I gonna save this girl?
How am I gonna save these girls?
My will gonna take me?
What choices do I make? Because there are choices he makes, and it has a consequence. It has a cost.
What am I willing to go through?
What am I willing to lose? What relationships? What things? What things am I willing to forgive and forget, or what do I not forgive?
There's just you're right. It's a lot of questions.
It's there's that one episode where it seems like he's making so much progress and so much progress, and then something happens, and then he resets.
Yeah, like you said, it's an interesting concept where he has checkpoints, right? And the fact
Yeah.
that he didn't get a checkpoint just
Meant that he
already
did something
tells the
wrong.
viewer he did something wrong this far back,
hmm
and it's like damn.
And
That's
you realize in that instant, like, he couldn't do this. This is the one thing he couldn't do.
Yeah,
And it just hits you. It hits you. I mean, obviously, Subaru's a very bad main character,
they could have.
but it's all the other characters that make that story.
I wouldn't say he's a very bad main character, but they
No,
could have
he's a
written him
bad
better.
main character.
He's a bad main character.
He's the reason. He's the reason why I can't watch that show.
I still disagree.
I think he's dumb. I think he's a dumb main.
Oh no,
character.
he's absolutely idiotic. That is very true, and it's weird. I think it's the writer's fault too at this point because by the end of the second season, he at least like comes to terms with what he has to do, like what he has to go through.
Mhm.
And from what I'm hearing, it just resets again, whereas if he didn't go through that character growth.
Yeah,
That reminds me of like Shinji from Neon Genesis.
Oh my god,
Um,
Shinji.
dude, the way it was being written, it seemed as if he was actually slowly growing like a spine. He was actually starting to like stand up for himself, like actually be a little more confident. And then by the end of the series, out of nowhere, literally just a flip of a dime, he's back to being a meek little loser.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Congratulations, Shinji.
Again, it's
never watched
quote
it.
unquote artistic.
You need to
failure, but
watch
still-
it.
Yeah,
You
it's
need
a
to watch
quote
it,
unquote.
Alec.
It's a quote
They
unquote.
ran out of funding. They ran out of money.
Isn't that a Gundam show?
Yeah, it is.
Sort
Oh,
of.
I mean, there's like giant mechanical beasts. Yeah.
But
I'm
they're not
sorry.
really mechanical.
I'm completely uninterested in Gundams. I
That's
think
It's such a good story and like such an interesting world.
Is it a good story?
It's a good story. The
Mm,
ending's terrible, but it's a
ending's
good
terrible.
story.
No, like I said, like what ruined it for what ruined it for me is just like Shinji's just random character development just regressed immensely out of nowhere.
Mm.
And when I was starting to like the character, it just became
You're not supposed to end up liking Shinji.
why is that?
'Cause he's a little bitch boy.
Well, yeah, no, but that's the thing. He was, and throughout the story, he was
He gets
losing.
he gets more confident. He
Yeah,
gets
yeah,
more
exactly.
confident.
My problem is like he just randomly
and then
like,
stuff
literally-
happens.
No,
All the stuff happens, and he loses that confidence. That's the point of the story.
no, I feel like it was before like the very end, right, where like all hell breaks loose, where all of a sudden he just goes back to being like a meek little whiny baby. And it's like,
Yeah,
dude,
because
what
there's
is happening?
nothing. There's literally it feel like, okay, if you put yourself through a struggle and you're continually trying to improve through that struggle, and then something smacks you so hard out of that growth, don't you feel like you regress?
Well, yeah, that's not the thing, Harpreet. The end, yes, I wouldn't blame him for like regressing into a shell. Literally, the very end where all hell breaks loose. I'm saying before that, before there was anything that, arguably, in my opinion, could cause that much trauma for him to regress back that bad. Like before, like a few episodes before that, he just all of a sudden became meek again. Before anything humongous happened, before anything like traumatizing happened. That was my problem. Yes, at the very end when hell breaks loose, yeah, like I don't blame him for cowering in the face of like the end of the world or his world. But it's before that you're just that I had a problem.
Yeah, I mean there's it's okay. It gives you that sense of depression, if you will, of where you have improved yourself, you have done all these things to get better, but your mentality doesn't change. Your mentality hasn't truly changed.
Well, again, I disagree with that aspect. But we just said that Shinji was starting to get better, was starting to like seemingly get like growing a backbone.
Yeah, but
But it doesn't matter if it's truly or not. The story portrayed it as that was his new mindset. He was becoming this new individual. And then out of nowhere, like I said, very next episode, just out of nowhere, just regressed. No trauma yet. No trauma yet. Just out of nowhere, he just becomes a
I mean, there's
beefy
already
guy.
existing trauma. That's
Well,
what I'm getting at.
he's had existing trauma, and yet he was still growing, right? Like
You feel like he's growing.
If I may,
yeah, go for it.
sometimes in this can be brought into story writing as well, so it would make sense if they thought of it. Sometimes your trauma will come up out of nowhere, and you regress for seemingly no reason. Sometimes it happens.
Okay.
Yeah.
In my opinion,
Some
that feels like such a cop out.
I don't know.
Again,
I'm just
my
saying sometimes trauma can come up when you least expect it. That has nothing to do with whatever growth you make or whatever you're doing in your life right now. Sometimes it can just come back and suddenly you've regressed and you're
Mhm.
stuck in a place where you're not really sure how to get out of this regression.
Okay, so that's just it. Like out of nowhere, trauma came back, and he just went back to being like episode 1 Shinji.
Yeah.
It could happen. I mean, did it show him struggling with any thoughts or
No, not
I
before.
mean, there's
Not,
some not
like
not
before the episode.
before.
No, just
No,
literally out
after
of
the
nowhere.
episode. It was during that episode.
it could have just been that he had a sudden regression?
Again, which feels like from a story narrative standpoint, if you don't explain it,
I
if you
mean,
don't go through his head and say
you
like have
you don't necessarily have to explain it, because if it's
in
something
that
that's a
case, it just
living
feels like a cop out.
if it's something that's a living issue, it's something that somebody could live through. Because I know the writer for that was going through depression writing that story, so it's a real life thing.
Well, true, but what I'm saying is from a story perspective, like it would have made it way more forgivable if like it at least hinted at Shinji's like mindset, like slowly regret, like he started questioning himself, like by the end of the previous episode, if he was like began to question himself again, then it at least pays homage to like moving on, like okay, the next episode I can see why he's feeling down. Whereas like out of the blue, it's pretty jarring and it takes me out of the story. Like yes, it's true, like what you just
I
said.
mean, there was
Like
also
yeah.
the budget cuts for that show, so
You know what?
take that
Actually,
into place.
that makes much more sense. That makes much more sense. If they did have something planned out and they couldn't because of the budget cuts, then never mind. That's way more forgivable. But as it stands, it's just like not knowing about the budget cuts and stuff like that. All this additional information, it just
Yeah,
feels
I
too
mean,
jarring, too out of nowhere. Even if it is steeped in like reality and this and that, it just again, like I said, I don't know. It feels out
I
of
think they
nowhere,
were
and that's
supposed to
what
have
took
like
me out.
3 more episodes than they did.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they were supposed to have that. Like, yeah, 3 episodes.
It was
3
something like
episodes,
that.
alright.
Yeah, 3 more episodes than they did, and then the Telecaster said, "Nope, you got 3 episodes to wrap it up." So yeah, I mean the new movies developed the story so much more.
Oh yeah, so I've heard.
Like I loved the first 2 movies. I haven't watched the third one yet. I don't think it's dubbed yet. That's why.
Yeah, it'll come out eventually. But
Or it is dubbed, but I haven't been able to find it. And then there's a 4th movie. But it's still the same weird Neon Genesis Evangelion.
some things never change.
Yeah, it's still really weird. It's such an odd story and show, but the world's so interesting.
Right.
The ocean's red. Like that's so jarring.
Okay, but yeah, to wrap that part up, yeah. With this new information, yeah, it's just it's forgivable now. But as it stands, like just by the story itself, if you didn't know any of the background information, it just feels like too. I guess it's just weird.
It's jarring.
Yeah, I guess that's the best way to put it. Like jarring certain aspects that happen out of nowhere, but I guess they rectify that with like the new ones, the new stuff, which is
Yeah,
great.
the movies are good.
I haven't watched it. I don't know if I ever will.
There's different things that happen.
Yeah.
They have changed the story, so it's not the same exact story. The first movie's pretty 1-to-1, to the anime.
So they
But
retconned it?
I wouldn't say retconned it because it's a different universe.
Oh, gross.
It's so the first one's very one-to-one to the original anime, like the first
Mhm.
like third of the anime. The second one, they changed who dies,
Oh, nice.
and they show more Shinji breaking,
Okay, okay.
just like mental breaks. And then the third movie is I've seen tidbits of it, and it goes really hard on the crazy moon shit.
Oh, great. But yeah, we'll talk about that some other time because that's Evangelion. It's an interesting story. Interesting, I'll say interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And sounds like you recommend it to the viewers, so that's great.
Yeah, watch the original. Lose your mind at the original, and then watch the movies.
We went on a hard tangent with this Evangelion.
Yeah, I mean, the other topic was RPGs, but we only did a little bit of that. Oh, we did a lot. We talked a lot of Persona,
Yeah, it's true.
but those are JRPGs. JRPGs are very hard set on their story. Western RPGs are a little more there's more nuance to what you can do.
Yeah.
Excluding this new Dragon Age.
Oh yeah. I haven't heard much positive from it, but there are some positives. Well, all I've heard is that they have no plans on DLC or whatever, not expanding the story. They're pouring all of their efforts into Mass Effect now, since I assume that's
I
yeah.
I will say, as Mass Effect being my favorite game series, they should not be bringing it back
They're desperate. No, I think they've been
because
talking about making it for a while now.
here's my thing. Either of you beat Mass Effect to play it?
No, I didn't
Nope.
finish it. I finished 2, and I have to redo it because I
I've
didn't
never
like it.
played a Mass Effect, and I've
Spoilers.
only played a little bit of Dragon Age.
Spoilers ahead because I need to talk about this.
I don't. Okay.
At the end of Mass Effect 3, the main character that you play, Shepard, dies. No matter which ending you pick, except the bad ending, I guess, but Shepard dies. In this new Mass Effect, they're saying Shepard comes back. This will be the second or third time
Oh
they're
yeah,
bringing Shepard back to life.
just a second. He died in the second game.
Yeah. How many
Crazy.
times can they bring this motherfucker back to life?
As much as they feel like.
Yeah, it seems
It
like
just
I mean,
feels
it's
like at this point to me like they're beating a dead horse. Because I thought that Mass Effect 3, sadly, but in a good way.
unfortunately, BioWare needs money.
I mean, okay, it's like Bungie ending Halo 3 with Master Chief getting separated, basically. And then 343 Studios picking it up right there.
I've never played Halo, so
Danny would know.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I
I
get
don't
it.
remember Halo.
I mean, 4, I actually liked 4. I liked Halo 4.
I definitely don't remember 4.
I don't like 5. And I really don't care about Infinite.
Honestly, the campaign was fun.
For Infinite?
Yeah.
I didn't like the whole open world.
I did. It's funner with
I-
friends, but that's besides the point. What were you saying, Holly?
I guess my main point is that I'm a little scared considering that how BioWare was bought out
Oh yeah,
and they have new creative teams behind both Dragon Age and Mass Effect. I'm a little worried that whatever
yeah.
they're going to do will not be what Mass Effect has always been, which worries me greatly. I
Right.
don't think it'll feel like Mass Effect anymore. That's my prediction, personally.
Yeah, there's like a lot of analyses on what's going on with EA and BioWare that I won't explain here because it's a long topic. Yeah, I'll let whoever was interested in video games and how once very good and reputable studio is falling on hard times. If you're interested in that, you can just look it up. I did it was like a video from Endymion, I think his YouTuber name was. But yeah, it's not looking good over there, Ali. Um,
I know. It's
they're trying to,
just,
yeah, uh-huh.
I don't see why they need to keep, like, Dragon Age I get, because Dragon Age Inquisition ended open-ended. I don't I don't see the reason why to bring back Mass Effect because it was pretty closed. And
Pretty sure it's like money.
of
It's usually the
course,
main
but I'm
cause.
just saying from a story standpoint and from a fan who loved the stories, I'm really disappointed that they're not trying something new instead.
Oh yeah. Why is it? That is so weird. Like oh yeah, that's another topic that I don't think we're gonna have time for. But like why instead of returning to form, like venturing out to new territory, right? For Star Wars, they recently like they did like the Acolyte thing that didn't do very well. And the question me and my brother had after watching it and dying a little bit on the inside was just a simple why? Why why did it go like back in time to a certain point where it was like a little iffy with
I
narrative decisions? Whereas you can just go like 10,000 years in the future, right? And start a new story. You know, like it would have been so much better than what they ended up doing in the Acolyte.
I haven't watched it mainly because I think at this point I feel the same way about Star Wars and certain Marvel things. The same I feel about Mass Effect, which is they're beating a dead horse.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, it's
They're
blatantly
way
obvious.
too overhyped, and the story is becoming
Not as good.
not as good. They just want the money that comes behind the royalties, and it feels awful.
Yeah, ruining a good story is always like heartbreaking to watch. But you know, it is what it is. We don't own those IPs. All right, I think it is time to wrap it up, my fellow compatriots. Uh, it was a bit of a mess, to be honest. Uh, going everywhere with the topics, but it was a fun time regardless. And dear listener, I do hope you enjoyed our giant hodgepodge of different topics, and we hope that it entertained you. Harpreet, Ali, any words you want to share before we officially close out the episode for the time being?
If you have ADHD, I'm sure you loved it.
I certainly did, and I don't have ADHD. I,
That's
Are
a
you sure
lie.
about
That's a
that?
I mean, I haven't
lie.
gone to a
I think you
doctor, but like, it's not crippling or anything like that. Oh,
I think
here
you
Okay.
comes
should
another
see
story.
someone.
Here comes another story. So like the week before like Thanksgiving or not Thanksgiving, sorry. Uh Halloween. I'm almost forgetting the holiday now. Um I already told you I went to Reno, Nevada to hang out with my cousin and we went out drinking with his coworkers and his friends. And when I got drunk, I could not focus on more than one thing. I'm telling debilitating where I was sitting there in the bar with like quesadillas on a plate on my lap, and I could not eat it because I was listening to the music. There were people talking in front of me, could not hear a word they were saying. I shifted my attention down to like the people talking. I could no longer hear the music. I could barely understand what they were saying, like one person at a time. I still couldn't eat my quesadilla. I slowly looked down. Like I finally took a bite of my quesadilla. Everything else was like tuned out, like like gray noise pretty much. As I was like trying to like process like the taste of my quesadilla.
I hate
Is
to
that
break it.
ADHD or is that just like I'm mentally deteriorating?
I mean, you
Keep in mind, like I wasn't too drunk. Like I could still walk in a straight line. I could still pass like a police check.
ADHD.
Nah, if the
I mean,
yeah.
Danny, you broke off from the signing off of the podcast
Mm,
to talk about it, which is so ADHD coded.
I don't know what you're talking about, to be quite honest. I could easily sign off yet again at any point. I just wanted to share one last story before we did sign off to our
We were actively ending.
It's just how ADHD works, Danny. It's not a bad thing.
I never said it was a bad thing. She's putting words in my mouth. Viewers, listen to her. She's besmirching my name.
Danny, you
Listen.
besmirched your own
You
name.
besmirched your name. What
Listen,
the heck?
man.
Treat.
You're denying it like it's a bad thing. It's not.
I'm denying it because it would feel wrong. I would be like, like those self-diagnosed people on Twitter saying like, I have
Okay, first of all,
self-diagnosed. Yeah.
now you're attacking me.
You self-diagnose?
Yeah, I have hypochondria. I'm a hypochondriac.
You have a mitochondria?
Hypochondria.
Mitochondria, powerhouse of the cells.
The hypochondria, the powerhouse of whatever it's in.
The
It means
hypochondriac, the powerhouse of
my anxiety.
disease.
But no, I mean, I'm neurodivergent in multiple ways. I haven't been diagnosed by a doctor with one or two of them, but I've had peers tell me, hey, you should get yourself checked out, which is usually a sign of, that's probably it, if other people are noticing.
Nah. Unless it's a doctor, I won't take their word for it. Are you a doctor, Ali?
No.
Mr. Dr. Professor Harpreet, are you a doctor?
I could be if I wanted to.
Yeah, that sounds like a no to me. I'm
You know
just too
what?
lazy to go to
You're
a
a
doctor and ask
no.
them if I have ADHD. Yeah. All right, the sign off. How could I have forgotten? Dear viewer, I once again am letting you know that this is the end of our wonderful podcast. I hope you enjoyed our plethora of random topics. It was not structured very well because, as Ali might say, I get distracted easily. Harpreet, any words?
Danny, get yourself checked out.
Okay. Ali, any words?
I mean, ADHD people will love our podcast. That's our audience. Have a good night.
That they will.
It's
Well, I
I'm
mean, when they
telling to
listen to the
whoever's
podcast,
listening.
yeah. You know what? It's evening for us now because I decided it, Harpreet.
you know
I
what?
was-
No, it's 12:20 in the
Harpreet.
afternoon.
Why are you
Harpreet,
calling
I
us-
was saying it as in a sign off for whoever's listening. I don't know
You
what
know
time of day it
what?
is for them, you stupid bitch.
You know
It's
what?
so much
You
more
know
exciting
what?
for an
I'm
I'm
gonna say
waiting.
good morning.
Okay.
Have a wonderful ass day.
Harpreet is chronically fatigued because of his terrible sleep schedule. So this could be his morning actually, 12 p.m. He just woke up. He's just
We've been on this for over 2
and yet,
hours.
were you really here though, Harpreet?
Yeah, I had like a whole caffeine.
whole caffeine.
one?
I had a whole caffeine.
Dude. Not two whole caffeines, right? That's what
I had a whole caffeine and sugar.
Yeah,
I think
you know
that's
what I used, Harpreet? You know what I used? I used grit and determination.
Sleeping a normal amount.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I went to sleep at like 2 in the morning, but that's besides the point.
Yeah, but how much sleep did you get?
6 hours.
that's
Better
cool.
than
2 more
4.
hours than me. 2 more hours than me.
And that was his decision to make. I was preoccupied with my cousin's birthday.
Well, it wasn't my decision to wake up.
Oh, you just woke up at like really early.
No, my dog woke me up.
Oh, that's a shame.
I got 9 hours of sleep.
And how
Good for
lucky
you, Allie.
must it be?
I'm sick.
That
I
must be
need to sleep.
super nice. But I don't.
Harpreet,
Okay.
yours is your own decision. Don't act like
You
it's
chose to get a dog, Harpreet. I cannot tell you more than that.
No, you chose to go to sleep really late.
Damn, Harpreet. You truly are the villain here.
It's a villain origin story.
Just bully him into becoming a villain.
Anyway, goodbye, everybody.
Oh,
Bye.
we're ending it here. This is probably where the cut is gonna happen, but
I mean, we're gonna stay on for a little bit longer.
yeah, we're gonna stay on for a little bit longer. But officially, this is the end.
If you continue listening past this point, you're love you guys.
yeah, thank you. You're truly a good viewer, and I would love to shake your hand. But yes,
Okay.
yeah, we're gonna talk a little bit more, and hopefully this is where it cuts. But if not, well, we added something cool, and you get a little treat as well. But if not, goodbye, everybody. Goodbye, dear viewers. Hasta luego. Say goodbye now, Harpreet.
Bye.
Say goodbye now, Ali.
Goodbye.
Goodbye now, viewer. Goodbye.